Hello, so you're back in the Crone Zone, and this is lesson 4 of learning to read tarot. In lesson 1, we looked at the magician and the aces, and the key word for that was beginnings. In lesson 2, we looked at the high priestess and the twos, and the key word for that was duality. In lesson 3, we turned to the Empress and the threes. And so this lesson, we're turning to the Emperor and the fours. So from your deck, you need the Emperor, you need Four of Swords. Sorry, we got that. Four of Swords, Four of Wands, Four of Cups, and Four of Pentacles. So if you get those out, I'll see you again in a minute. There are cards in the deck which are less popular with people, and there's some obvious ones like the Devil, the Tower, Death, which we'll come to by and by. But another card which can be less popular is that of the Emperor, and it's worth just considering why this might be the case. We've said that fours stand for structure, stabilisation, and in external society, those things are maintained by power structures. And Western society has been dominated by patriarchy, the rule of the fathers, for over 2,000 years. So it comes as no surprise that this figure of power and stability is male. But let's look at the card here. Not only is he male, but he's enthroned on the most four square solid thrones or foundations, and he's armoured. Now the Emperor is aligned to the planet Mars, to Aries, the sign of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, the god of war and assertion. And so we can see here quite clearly that the warrior at best is a protective energy, and also perhaps more than that, a warrior energy, someone who will fight and defend their power base, what they feel is their own authority. Notice the ram's head. That's the symbol of Aries, the ram, decorating the throne. The Emperor's dressed in fiery red, which is creative in itself. But it's interesting that the river of the High Priestess card, which we see in the Empress, flowing by the side of the Empress, it's become the thinnest of trickles behind the Emperor, and he is in a hot and arid landscape. The white beard, crown, sceptre show age, honours, responsibility. So it's very much a card of the male polarity. If the Empress is the mother, this is the father. And it can have toxicity for some. But we need to look at the positive aspects of this archetype to see how it can serve us. I think we can say that it's not healthy to be overly dominated by this male energy, whether it's in society at large or whether it's in a male presence in our own lives. But it's helpful to look at the positive aspects of the Emperor too. Structure can be very useful. Stability isn't a bad thing. Responsibility isn't a bad thing. And nor is power, when power is empowerment rather than power over. So When the emperor shows up in a reading, it may be that we are under the influence, and it may not be negative, but we could be under the influence of a controlling and rather powerful male figure. Could be a boss, a father, a spouse, a son, it could be anybody, but it's a controlling male figure. Could be our local politician. I mean, anything is possible. However, the card can also be a call to us to embody those emperor-like qualities in ourselves. Again and again, the point that comes home from the duality of the priestess is that whilst we may be male or we may be female, we all contain masculine and feminine energies. And part of the inner marriage, if you like, of the integrity of the person is the best possible balance of those energies within. So the emperor in a spread can be a call to us to, well, take charge, get your ducks in a row, get your act together. Be in charge of your own life, stand in your own power, defend what is precious to you. And I think the more we can do that, then the less we're subject to external control, and the more we're operating from our own internal sovereignty and empowerment. We can think of the four as being quite box-like, like a container. That's quite a handy image for it, really. So in the ones we have beginnings. In the twos we have polarity, choices, balancing. In threes we have growth and creativity. And in the fours we have more of a resting place. We have a consolidation. We have this stable ground where things can rest a while and just be there for a while, contained by the structure of the four. So we consider now what it is that the other fours share with the emperor. Well, there may be aspects of control, but perhaps much more than that is the notion of stability, is the notion of fixity. We've seen how power chooses or seeks to be self-preserving and stable. Not always a bad thing. But let's look now at how this operates in the Four of Swords, Four of Wands, Four of Cups, and the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Swords can look a little alarming because the figure appears to be a figure on a tomb in a church. But this card isn't about death. It's only about getting some peace by withdrawing for a while from the world. If we're thinking about stability, then the stable mind is the quiet mind. It's about switching off. It's about restoring, recharging, and sometimes literally going on retreat. At times, this could even manifest as a mild illness, which puts us in bed for a few days. Or it could be the need to meditate or live mindfully, practice yoga or breath techniques. Certainly, it's about withdrawing for a while. It's about the need for restorative time out. The Four of Wands is really celebratory. You can see the stability of the four wands there, and the garlands that are strewn between them, and the figures waving their garlands in celebration. So this is, let's celebrate. We've laid this secure foundation. We have stability. And from that, let's get together with the community and celebrate. Sometimes this will be a signifier of a wedding, or certainly of a various gatherings, maybe christenings or parties or anniversaries, those sorts of things that are built on the solid foundations that have been laid in the past. The fiery ones can be very driven, very goal-focused, but they also know how to play hard and how to have fun and to celebrate and to pitch themselves into that full tilt. And so these are the kind of moments of celebration. We see the castle in the background, but the figures have clearly rushed out. We don't know whether they're male or female, or one male, one female, it's not clear. But they've come outdoors, they've come out to celebrate. We feel that they're wanting to share. There's a sense of harvest here, a sense of fulfilment, of things burgeoning, coming to fruition, but being shared. There's quite a joyful sense of sharing with this card. The Four of Cups is one of those cards that really invites a multiplicity of interpretations, and that's part of its richness. And when we're doing a reading, there are many things about the context of the reading which will tip us in the direction of one interpretation over another. So we see a figure here seated almost like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. You know, he's sitting and he seems to be looking inward. His posture is very square, it's very solid. He himself seems to be in a place of some stability and fixity. But we're talking cups here. So it is almost as if the figure is in an emotional place of balance, perhaps satiated, or perhaps fulfilled, or perhaps happy with their lot. But certainly, you know, the gaze appears to be onto the cups. Some argue that it's down to the ground, but it appears to me to be to the cups. This is somebody relishing what they have, but feeling maybe even a little bit smug about it. A little bit apathetic. Oh, everything's just fine. No need to do any more. Why rock the boat when everything's okay? You know, I'm all right. I don't need to get doing anything else. And in that mindset, certainly, the person would be missing this fourth cup that's being offered to them, which could be all sorts of amazing possibilities there that they're missing out on. It's possible, of course, to interpret the card in another way and say, well, this person is going inward to see if they really want what is offered in the cup. You know, they're contemplating, they're weighing things up. This brings us then to the last of the fours, the Four of Pentacles. This is an interesting card. One of the things that strikes me about it is how greyed out it is. It's almost completely grey background, and there's a cityscape there, tall buildings. Makes us think a little bit of finances, the financial quarter, that kind of thing. And the ground under the feet of the figure is also grey. It's not a card of delight and colour, certainly. There is colour in the red of the robe of the seated figure. And he is seated on what appears to be quite a solid stone bench and doesn't look particularly comfortable. Here's someone with either foot on a pentacle clutched to their heart, and another atop the head, atop the crown that they're wearing. An uncomfortable stance. This is somebody hanging on. This is perhaps where stability becomes fixity, becomes stultified, and somebody who cannot budge, who cannot move. Maybe someone who's so set on hanging on to what they've got that they're paralysed with that. They can move neither forward nor backward. They can only stay clutching what they have. So there are some indicators here that this could be a card of real materialism, of really being quite miserly and hanging on, of being afraid of anything taking your riches from you. Of course, Pentacles aren't just about money. If this card showed up in a reading about health, then it might even be an indicator of holding on, of trying to stabilize the health, of trying to hold on in there. This could be the message of it too. In the tarot, as in life, discernment, discrimination are our best friends, our best tools. So we're thinking about stability, we're thinking about structure. So thinking of the Emperor card, here, the discernment. When does power become tyranny? When has it gone too far? When is it in its right place and operating positively? That's important to be evaluating and to know, both for our own personal lives and also for our social lives, for the society that we live in, and our appraisal of the rulers that we have. When we come to the elements, we have to think of structure and the elements. Thinking of air, you don't really think air needs to move constantly and is rarely still. And the mind is rarely still. So the effect here is, as we've said, this quieting of the mind, stabilizing of the mind, the shutting down for a time of the monkey mind, the endless chatter, and reaching a place of calm where better insights can be gained. Fire does very well in a container. As we know, it's a brilliant servant and a dreadful master. But here, the structure of the fours works brilliantly with fire, because fire has been able to forge ahead, create something. And this plateau period of the structure of enjoying the fruits of labor is really great. And what's also very positive here is that, unlike the Four of Pentacles, where this energy is being hugged to the self, and kept to the self, this is very shared. This is, hey, let's celebrate, let everybody partake of the enjoyment. I'm feeling happy, my ship's come in, come and celebrate with me. So again, this is where structure can be working really well. Okay, now emotions, water should flow, shouldn't it? When water is still, it can become stagnant. And I think here the danger with this card, just to add on to the other things I've said about it, but one of the dangers is not keeping the emotional flow going, that giving and receiving of emotions, feelings, relationships, that give and take. Stay open. Don't close yourself down. I think that's another message we could get from this card. And thinking of flow, well, actually, money should flow, shouldn't it? Money is, at the most fundamental level, is an energy, and it should flow. And they say, don't they, cast your bread on the waters and it will return to you threefold. And I'm minded here of that Bible story about the talents. I can't remember it exactly. Was it 5 talents or 3 talents? I don't know. But one of the servants buried the talents in the ground just to conserve them and hang on to them, and didn't do anything with them. And they didn't grow. No development happened from that. So that's a warning about letting structure become stagnation. And that's to be avoided at all cost. So structure and power are not good and they're not bad. They are those things according to how we employ them, according to our discernment and our discrimination and our agency. Let's not forget that. So I think that brings us to an end for this lesson. the fourth lesson. Sorry. And if you've benefited from it at all, please give me a thumbs up. That's very helpful. It helps other people find these videos. And if you've got questions, please put them down below. I haven't had much in the way of questions yet, and I would be very happy to answer any that you have. So do pop them in the comments if they occur to you. Okay, so good luck. I hope you're enjoying carrying on with learning tarot, and I will see you next time. Bye now.